Welcome to Cafecito with Rosie on air from beautiful downtown Tampa at Studio 24M. Sergio and Andy, you guys rock. And today I'm honored to introduce my really good friend, Matt Tack. This amazing gentleman that you guys look here. When I met him, he was not as built as he is today because he just had this passion for fitness. So Matt, how are you today?
I'm doing phenomenal, and I'm so excited to meet up with you.
Awesome. And Matt is actually married to an Ecuadorian and has 3 beautiful girls. And I babysit a little bit one of the little ones until she started crying. And then I was like, here, Matt.
They bite. They do. All those 3 girls bite. Yeah.
But they're so beautiful. They are so beautiful. Your wife is just an amazing woman. And we met at church, and you guys were such a good mentors for us. And we really appreciate everything that you did for Scott and I while we were at that church. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you help the community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We actually have a clinic here in Tampa, so it's called Alessi Functional Health. I have a partner, Dr. Alessi, and it is hands down the best chiropractic clinic and functional wellness clinic, I believe, in Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do predominantly, and then we're expanding, and we have online coaching, mm-hmm. And we focus really on 3 things, that it's mindset, nutrition, and muscle. We believe muscle is the component for longevity. Mm-hmm. So we don't really cater towards this weight loss element because a lot of people just want to focus on the weight loss perspective. Mm-hmm. But really, it's how are we building that muscular structure while we're losing that weight? So we focus on that. That's called Full Fueled. And then we have the Full Fueled podcast as well, which we're really excited. We're going into our 2nd season there. Awesome.
And yeah, it's aging gracefully, right? That's one of those things, because what happens is we all aging every single day. One of the things that one time my dad said, the moment you are born, you're dying, because that's the first day that you start dying. But so what we are trying to accomplish here is to be able to work on your health ahead of time. So as you age, your health don't demand from you because they're unhealthy habits that you're building now. So I'm very excited that you're doing this. Why do you think it's so important for business owners to also work on their, not only their mindset, but their health and everything else?
Yeah, that's such a crucial question, because so many people don't think that long game, right? Mm-hmm. And I always think of the reverse engineering component. Like, what is your 85-year-old self going to thank you for today, mm-hmm. right? And one of those things is there's a couple different factors in that. So typically when your mindset's right and you are activating on all cylinders, meaning you're working out, your mm-hmm. nutrition is dialed in, you think a little bit clearer, and you make better decisions that potentially can make you more money, right?
Right.
And so that's always typically what we're thinking about. It comes to financial risk. Well, if I work out, then I don't answer those emails or do those mm-hmm. things, when the reality is actually adverse to that. If you prioritize that, what if you could work a few extra years because your health is been a priority and mm-hmm. you are optimized well into your 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Right.
And you're like, man, I can make a lot more money, mm-hmm. right? Because
mm-hmm.
I'm operating at a much higher level well into my 60s and 70s.
Right.
Where usually people make that turn and they're on the downturn. Mm-hmm. And so the reality is you will make more money if you can prioritize your health. And so as a business owner, I always go back to the point of like, that needs to be a priority. Mm-hmm. You need to put that into your schedule mm-hmm. as like that daily occurrence to maximize the opportunity, because I guarantee you, you're going to make more money because of it.
And I do have to tell you, that's what happened. So I think last year I started working with a coach, a business coach, but this year I made it a priority that I was going to get up every morning and do my workout walking. And now I got in my 54-day long streak. The only times that I have not gone out has been raining. And then I have added a little bit more of jogging, and I have added a little bit more of weightlifting, only because I feel that once I'm done with my workout, I'm a better person. I think clearer, and I also have made more money. And that has been mind-blowing to me, because I have put the most important person on my business first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'm the only one that can make those hard decisions at my business. So if I have the best mental capacity for it, it just makes much more sense. So awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly it. It's doing the hard things. Not, people want to stray away from the hard things. And a really hard thing is to get up in the morning and do some cardiovascular activity and doing those hard things. But when you do those hard things early, it actually makes some of the other things that seem a little bit hard, maybe a little bit easier later in the day, making those few extra cold calls or, going to that networking meeting that you're like, man, I'm not really excited about. It makes things a little bit easier because you're doing it I did some hard things first, and now I'm stepping into another layer of discomfort. So I always say, do the hard things first, get those knocked out. It's the best way to optimize in the morning, and things get a lot easier from there.
Yeah, and build a habit. I think that the discipline, the habit, because sometimes the emotion is like, oh man, I don't want to do it, right? I don't want to do it. But you letting yourself down at that moment. And I think if people if the first decision that you make in the day is letting yourself down, guess what's going to happen during the rest of the day, right? So that's why you have to build that habit where you say, you know what? I'm just getting up because I want to, and you don't think like, I don't think I have a way to put my gear, because I do have to put my things in my elbows and my knee pads and stuff like that, just in case I fall somewhere. But all that is cover, but I feel comfortable. So I get this idea of how to do it. I have this routine, and then I don't think, it's just I grab my phone, I grab my this, and I'm out the door. And by the time sometimes I'm half asleep and I'm in the park already, half an hour working. I'm like, oh, I'm waking up now, but it's you putting yourself first, always. Yeah. So tell me about as a business owner. I know you're an entrepreneur, and how did that journey kind of started for you?
Yeah, that was some journey. So it really came out of, I would say, the story of like really depression. When I was in my mid-20s, I just like had this like really scarcity mentality of like, there's, my best days are behind me, from athletics. Athletics were a very important piece of my life. And I felt like I was almost unworthy. And it wasn't really until I went into the Celebrate Recovery program. So I even tell my wife this, I've said it on a number of podcasts too, is that like I wasn't prepared to marry my wife the day I married her. And thank God she stayed with me. I'm like, my wife is an amazing. Shout out to Kelly. We love you. So that at that time though, I really had to dig deep. We had just moved to Tampa from Washington, D.C., and I didn't really love the job that I was in either. And so I was just trying to navigate and figure out the world kind of that I lived in. And so I was like, I just prayed to God. And I didn't really have a deep spiritual connection. God really wasn't much of an influence in my life. Yeah, we went to church on Sundays, but it wasn't really my thing. But my parents had instilled a good moral standard. And that's why, my big proponent living full fueled is really for men to be men, like strong men nowadays. We need more strong men.
Yes, we do.
And that's really where it really encompassed, is that I decided, I'm like, God, what do you have for my life? And I saw that there was a Celebrate Recovery program. And I'm like, man, this is for drug addicts. This isn't for me. God, like, I don't need to go into that, making excuses. But I did it. I did it anyway. Like, and that's some of the things, like when you're in that state, it requires action. And sometimes it's that small action that I had to step out of. So I went into this, and it was the first time that I had read a Bible, like cover to cover.
Right.
And it had a bunch of stories in it. So the Celebrate Recovery Bible has like stories. So it goes through, and then there's really like a real life story of somebody getting out of drugs or whatever it is. And so I'm like, my life's a story. And so I started like gathering these things of like, I'm actually creating my own story. And so on the outset of that, it was one mission that I had, and God downloaded it on me. It was like, start being an encourager, like encourage people. And so, my one controllable was I was married. I was living under a roof with my wife. Right. And so I started encouraging her every day. And so I had this really like just nasty mindset of like, women and just my idea of like how I portrayed that on her and then others. And so I had to get through that, and I really had to work through that. And the one way was just like looking at her and through the lens that God looked at her.
Right.
And so I was like, babe, you're so beautiful.
Right.
That was like kind of how it started. Right. And then, babe, thank you so much for doing this and this. And so it just like was that it was the first time where there was like an abundant shift of like, she is worthy, I am worthy. And then a compounding over time really is what created the narrative of my mindset that like, actually this world is meant for abundance.
Right.
Like, and especially like we get to live in like an incredible country, full of abundance. And so I started seeing that abundance in my house.
Right.
And it has since grown. I have 12 years of marriage. Right. I like am absolutely married to my best friend, and just love it. But it really, that catered to her supporting me and saying, hey, like, I think I want to just quit the 9 to 5 and get out and start a business.
Right.
And so it started in real estate, which I still do invest in real estate. But it started there and then has since compounded into other things. But that was the impetus of how things shifted for me. And it was just kind of one action that led to that. And then my wife coming along beside me and saying, yeah, do it. I want you to be happy. And so I cut off the strings to the 9 to 5 and I've been an entrepreneur ever since.
And, I read the book, 10X with Grant Cardone, and it says, success doesn't happen to me. Success happened because of me and the actions I take. So that is amazing because you took action. And I think the biggest thing is people fantasize on, I want this, but they never take action. And if you take action, figure it out. He also says, commit first and figure it out later. That is just like the amazing
build the plane
thing.
As it's going down.
Yes, like, and he says you can throw yourself off the bridge into the water. You can't stop midair. So just go for it. And it is amazing, the analogies, but celebrate recovery. I actually did it for food addiction. So that was one of the things I think Idlewild had, celebrate recovery, and I did that. I mean, it's any type of addiction. People don't understand. You have all types of addiction, but food addiction is actually one that people accept the most. Because if you find somebody eating their heart out, you're never gonna say, "Hey, what's going on? What are you eating?" But you're addicted to food and you don't know how to stop it. And people have understood, you feel different depending on the food that it's an addiction. And I remember Celebrate Recover. I love that I also did, that was, and I don't remember, again, it was Idlewild, but it was like you go for all this type of addictions. But I started, mine was the food addiction.
Yeah, so good. And that's for everybody, right? When you can take that time to truly reflect and you're like, what areas of improvement, right? Because that was even in my mid-20s when I was just like had a really sulky attitude and was just complete scarcity. I had to reflect for a moment. Why is this? Like, why can't we ask why more? And so there's always something that we can make just a small tweak to and improve upon. And for me, I truly believe that and this is the reason why we promote Full Fueled, is that those small layers of education, food, we were talking about, macro counting and really understanding what we're putting in your body. The analogy of you can make a food your medicine, or medicine's going to be your food eventually. Right. And so then how do we start incorporating that level of education that then that's just a small tweak that then's maybe an exercise component of strength training and all these other things. And when those things compound, you really see the abundance of life. Right.
And people think exercise have to be this whole strenuous thing. Just go out for the walk. Just go out for a walk. For the moment you start doing it more, then you go farther. Then you started jogging, or you started adding weights. But it's just that once you build that commitment, then it just becomes easier, and then you want it more. It's like you get addicted also, like you did your bad habits, but now you get addicted to the good habits, which again, you also have to have kind of like control on that too, because you can be a crazy exercise freak and then, still not do what you're supposed to do. But if you can give a tip to an entrepreneur that is just kind of starting right now in defense of, why should I do this? what will you tell them that that this is amazing way of owning your time?
Yeah, one of the things that when I became an entrepreneur, like I remember very clearly that even the first couple of days, it's like, what do I do?
Right.
Oh, wait, what do I do now? But one of the first things is find somebody. Right. Find somebody that's already done it. Like the mentorship is so critical in the process of asking questions, and then being present with fear, right? Fear is never going to leave. Right. It's always going to be there as an entrepreneur. There's going to be a level of fear, but that's where, producing that level of stepping into the uncomfortable more often produces, time under tension is what I call it. When you put yourself in more like tension, you're going to get stronger, right? The diamond's going to show through. And so being present with that fear and being able to step into it instead of pushing that away. So those are, two really big things that mentor can help you so much because they've been through it, ask a lot of questions, and then just be present with the fear.
Yeah, because owning a business to me is courageous. It's a courageous act. So business owners are courageous because instead of fear, it doesn't mean that you don't do it with fear. It's just that the results of overcoming your fear has more, better results. Or you like more what's going to happen after you overcome your fear. Yeah. So awesome. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook at Matthew Tack. We're on Instagram, human.optimizer. You can follow my partner at Full Fueled Doc. We are on Full Fueled as our social platforms. And then you can find us on pretty much everything in the Full Fueled podcast, where we host a lot of different topics on longevity. We really nerd out there. So check us out on the platform you like to listen to podcasts. We'd love to share.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, my friends. Thank you, Matt, for being here today. And just remember that you are the most important asset on your company. So take action and put yourself first. Stay pure, stay positive, and stay inspired. Ciao.